Hey Jen, you're probably wondering why I've been calling you a lot more lately. And no, it's not because I need money to fix my truck again. I've actually been doing this project in my communications class about something called interpersonal communication, and you've been a large part to my success in it. So I'll start off by telling you what I've been doing for the past couple months. Basically, my goal in class has been to get in touch more often with friends and family like you, and to improve on my relationships with these people that I don't see all the time. I've learned a few things about my communication competence, which is how well you communicate in different situations, and I'll share that with you. So here I am during a lab, and yes, I'm on my phone, and no, I didn't know my neck could bend that far. The point is, since I'm very busy all the time, I have to talk to people whenever I can, even during breaks and lab time. By doing this project, I've strengthened my interpersonal skills, which could help make stronger connections with others in the future. Obviously, I've had some snags and failures during this project. Sometimes I was too overwhelmed with work and activities to consider calling anyone. Also, Gabby's phone broke, so it's been hard to reach her. I've realized that there's something to be learned from failure, and that if you don't experience it or plan for it, you can't evolve as a person. By embracing my failures in the project, I came up with ways to overcome them, like using FaceTime to call Gabby's iPad, because we both know sign language and we can also use body language. I can't speak physically during FaceTime because my stupid phone's broken again, but that's a whole nother story. Another thing I learned through this project is that to change my communication competence, I had to first change my intrapersonal communication, since that's thought to be the foundation of communication itself. To do that, I had to learn to be mindful of my inner voice and modify it to improve my interpersonal communication with you and others. In case you didn't know, mindfulness is the intentional, accepting, and non-judgmental focus of one's attention on the emotions, thoughts, and sensations occurring in the present moment. When I first started to practice mindfulness, my inner voice would cause me anxiety by saying, "Don't pick up the phone. Make an excuse not to talk right now. You can always call later." Obviously, my inner voice was holding me back, so I had to change it into a positive voice so that I would be willing to answer the phone and even call people on my own without a solid reason. Practicing mindfulness really helped me to change the way I view communicating with others. Now I see it as a valuable tool I can use to keep in touch and build strong relationships. Once I got my inner voice restructured to build up a positive attitude towards interpersonal communication, I started focusing on the types of communication behavior I use when talking to people on the phone. I noticed that when I'm talking to certain people, I use one type of behavior while I use another when talking to someone else. Over the phone, people often misunderstood me, like when you think there's something wrong with me because of the tone of my voice, but I'm actually fine, and when you think I say something and I actually said something else. So over the past couple months, I've been working to change this behavior. Recently, I've noticed that when I'm talking, people understand what I'm saying to them, and I don't have to repeat myself as often. And I've been better at detecting the mood of the conversation so I can communicate accordingly, like being serious or humorous depending on the situation. I've noticed a stronger connection between us since I've more tuned into our conversations. Another challenge I faced in the project was that the times I had free time were always the times that you were free. These were the times I had to be empathetic towards you so that I could understand why you didn't pick up the phone. In addition, being empathetic towards others shows that you sincerely care about that person and you're being as understanding as you can of the situation they're in. For example, the old me would think that you didn't care about me and what I had to say when you didn't answer my phone. Then my inner voice would say, "Why bother? She doesn't want to hear it anyways." Now that I've practiced mindfulness and empathy, I tell myself, "You're probably still at work, or away at your office to Colorado, or maybe spending quality time with your kids." The point is, I've learned to change my inner voice and become understanding of other people's situations and why they may not be able to talk at certain times. I've learned to not necessarily make assumptions of people, but to think about what's going on in that person's life that prevents them from being able to communicate with me. One way I transformed the way I thought about interpersonal communication was being exposed to different ways of communication through our textbook and online course. At the beginning of the course, we were to pick a subject area that we felt needed the most improvement. Remember that survey you did for me back in September? When I looked at the textbook, there was a section that talked about openness versus privacy. It explained how people have high disclosure in which you share a lot of information to get up to date, but then you don't talk to each other for a long period of time. This description fit me exactly, and I knew immediately that this was something I wanted to work on. My main focus for this project was to practice something called alternation, which is a communication behavior where you maintain steady communication whether you're together or apart. This is important because without the theory of alternation, I wouldn't know how to bridge the gap between talking regularly in person as well as long distance. Finally, as you know very well, I was in the hospital recently for a few days. Looking back, this was sort of an unprecedented ultimate test of my improved communication competence and my change project itself. This was a unique situation because I was far from home and had to contact all of my family and almost all my friends over the phone. While I was in the hospital, I was able to notify everyone I felt needed to know about what happened and had some good long phone conversations with people I haven't talked to in a while. Most importantly, you were the first person I called when I got hurt. You told me to go to the health center, which I did, and what I thought was just soreness turned out to be a serious medical condition. Before the project, I would have kept it to myself and waited it out, but because I've changed through this communication competence project, you were able to save me the despair of imminent kidney failure and possibly death. I can't thank you enough for your empathy and motherly instinct that truly made a difference in my life. Thank you.